Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a very special author interview with you guys, and this is George. George recently wrote a novella, and he has a new book coming out that we are going to talk about, and I'm super excited to get into that. But George, why don't you give your intro so that everybody can get to know you a little better?
Well, hi, my name is George Morris Diath. It's spelled as death, but it's not actually pronounced as that, funnily enough. A lot of people seem to like that when the doctors call me through in the doctor's surgery waiting room. And I'm just, and the fact that I'm wearing a black cloak and like scythe doesn't help anyway. But I get a lot of mileage out of that joke. I get mileage out of that joke.
Yeah, I can
But
imagine.
I'm yes, I'm a writer, mostly an author, newbie one. I just signed a 3-part book deal with Head of Zeus Publications under their division called Area Fiction. I'm having to like remember this in my head as well. I'm like, oh, long day. I'm also an actor and a model as well. I don't say the model part.
That's cool. No, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I mostly write thrillers. So I'm not like 50 Shades of Grey or anything. Not knocking 50 Shades of Grey readers, but that's not me.
Yeah, the cover of your novella has quite a bit of blood on it, so I'm looking forward to that. Yes. I am all
Quite
for it.
zesty.
I really like thrillers myself, so seeing that just gets me like pumped.
Like people have been saying to me, I mean, I love the designer who was someone called Mark Swan, but it's very like Hannibal meets like Cabin in the Woods. I was just like, oh,
I love Cabin in the
love it.
Woods.
I was
Such
like, I
a good
love that.
movie.
I was
Yeah.
like, that's the one. I was like, that is the cover.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I'm
Cool.
pretty simple. That's me in a nutshell.
So you said that you're an actor. Do you like act in like plays, or have you been in any shows or anything like that?
I've mostly done theatre. I mean, obviously, not lately because of
Well, yeah.
Corona, Miss Corona.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done mostly theatre. I've done like bits and pieces of ad work and stuff. And like when I was younger, I did like very small, pretty much extra work on TV. But that's about it.
Still
Like
cool. Still
pretty
cool.
pretty fun, yeah.
All right, so I guess we can jump into the questions that I have for you. So my first question is, how does it feel to be a young writer entering the publishing world with your new novella and your new book coming out?
It's weird. It's
Yeah.
very weird because like I feel like whenever people see like the celebrations and the announcements on social media, they always think like, oh, must be like reveling in it and stuff. And it honestly it's weird because no one ever sees like the 5-year journey you took to get there. So people a bit like some people think like, oh, must be like very lucky or whatnot. Some people are like, oh, must be very talented, but some people are like, must be very lucky. And there is a certain degree of luck, I think, to any like certain amount of success. But
Yeah.
um yeah, no one sees the 5 years. So for me, it's very surreal because I've just had 5 years of endless rejections and failures. So all of a sudden, to not just have like one book signed, but 3 in one deal, I was like, did you write that correctly in the contract? Is that right? You want to double check that?
Yeah.
Um, so it's really surreal, and especially given like the fun, spicy year that is 2020. I mean, like it makes it a double whammy.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but it's exciting. It's exciting, but crazy all at the same time. I
So
don't know
you,
what I'm doing. Half the time, I'm like,
so you have the one book coming out in 2021.
yes.
And since you signed on for a 3-book deal, do you have the other 2 written yet, or those are still in the works?
I have the second one's written. I'm currently editing it right now with a very, very, very tight deadline.
Mhm.
Um, so my life is kind of that at the moment, just constantly editing like all day today. I'm Red
Yeah.
Bull, all the Red Bull, like, oh, edit, edit, edit. So I'm editing the second one, and I've still yet to write the third one, but I've done all the story and characters and whatnot for that. So I know where I'm
Yeah.
going with that pretty much. I feel safe with that one. I'm like, okay, I can come into 2021, get that one done. But until then, edit this second one, which is a beefy boy. He isn't like that big. Come on.
And so you have an idea for the conclusion of this whole series then?
Well, it's a bit weird because they are all connected, but they're not, because
Oh,
they're all
okay.
part of like the same world, but it's kind of like anthology style with lots of little like hidden
Right.
references and Easter eggs. Like everyone always says, like it's the easy comparison, like MCU, you know, like just
Yeah.
you just get your head around and stuff. But to make all the Easter eggs and references within this world, which is great world building, obviously, like everyone usually says, and like Stephen King's done that, a lot of people have done that. But boy, do you go like you go crazy. Like that's how you end up in a mental institution. It's like it's just like, oh, yes, I make this reference. Oh, and this reference. Oh, yeah. So then you start getting off in your own head. You're like, oh,
Well, I'm really
yeah.
looking forward to them. I think they're going to be awesome.
They're all very different, is the
Mhm.
word, I think. Very different, but thrillers, yeah.
Yeah, that's very
Oh.
exciting. It's too bad that like you can't do, I guess, like author tours or anything right now because just
Mm.
meeting you now, I can tell that you have a very like energetic and outgoing personality, and I can see you
That's one
being
word
like
for it.
I'm just saying like I can see you being
Yeah,
like a very exciting author to meet at like a meet and greet or something like that. So I think that'd be really
very
cool.
zany.
Yeah.
That's what I get. I'm like, oh, he's very zany. I'm like, oh, that good? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Okay, so the next thing I was going to ask you is, do you have prior experience in the publishing industry?
No. Next question. No, I've in terms of like, do you mean have I ever been like an assistant to an editor or anything sort of like that?
Yeah, like pretty much how did you get your foot in the door, I guess? Or did you just straight up give them like your pitch on the book and that was that?
I, to be like really, really honest, I think the reason why it all kind of kicked off this year was because I finally managed to get a literary agent. And with that, um, everyone was on furlough. So everyone had a lot of time to kill and they wanted to come back to work with deals pretty much signed. And I
Right.
think that really helped me in regards of
Hmm.
actually signing the deal and getting it done. And I mean, my editor, who is fabulous, by the way, like can't like rave about her enough, but she pretty much had the book read within 2 weeks,
Wow.
which for like publishing like editors is very good, like very good. I was like, oh, I was expecting like 6 months, but she was like, no, loved it. I was like, oh, thank you. I was like, thank you. That's quite after 5 years of
Yeah.
no, 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 no. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I bet that was like really nice to hear.
Yeah. But again, it was surreal, very, very surreal because I think you start to just go through the motions a lot with rejection. And you get so used to hearing no that you're not quite ever expecting yes. So when it
Hmm.
finally did happen, I was like, Tom, my agent, I was like, is this right? Was this meant to go to me? Like, what's what's going on here? Is this a dream? Is this 2020 playing tricks on me?
Yeah. No, that's fantastic though that that worked out.
Yeah, but aside from that, like, no, I've had no other experiences with the publishing world. It's not like, I mean, it's only been these last 6 months in lockdown where I've been able to like really speak to like publishers and stuff because some have been interested, some have not been interested, but I've explained
Hmm.
reasons why. I mean, like, fun little story. I had an editor from a very, 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 very big publisher read it, and she was like, "Oh, I really love the book. I could see it as a Netflix series." "Oh, okay
Yeah.
then, hello friend."
Wow.
And she was like, "Oh, okay. I just need to get back to my superiors and basically like see if they can give it the green light." A few days go by, she gets back to me. She's like, "They didn't like it. Sorry, bye." I was like, I
Oh,
was like, okay then. I was like, I'll go. I'll
that
show myself
yeah.
out.
That's
But
that's
yeah,
pretty like harsh shutdown there.
yeah, but she did it in a very lovely way. I mean,
Well,
I think that's what a lot of publishers are very good at doing, which is not the kind of experience I've had with like acting and stuff where it's very kind of brutal. But
mhm.
everyone in the publishing industry is so nice, which has kind of taken me out of it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a completely different pool of water compared to what I'm used to. They'll say, I liked this, I didn't like that, and so on and so forth. So it's nice to get feedback, and I think people realize with writing that obviously a lot of your like, God, this could sound like very artsy fuzzy, like your heart and soul goes into it. So they don't want to basically be like, no, send. They like to give you reasons as to like why they've said no. Um, yeah, pretty much. I think the publishing industry is very nice, and everyone knows each other, and obviously because there's like events and stuff which I've been told I've got to go to. I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about. Yes, everyone just knows each other, and it seems really nice and bubbly from what I can tell. Anyway, I mean,
Well, that's really
just
cool.
me, but I know nothing. I'm just an idiot. I just say it to people. I'm just an idiot at heart. Who likes books? I'm like, yes, I like the books. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have a bit of, well, not really. I say I have a bit. I have a little experience with publishing industry in the sense that like I've reached out to publishers and I've talked to a lot of
Yeah.
publishers because I do like review copies and things like that.
Mm.
And I work a lot with HarperCollins. They will send me lots of review copies, but like we have a group with HarperCollins that everybody's like super, super friendly and super nice. So I do understand what you mean by like getting those vibes from the
Yeah.
industry. Yeah.
No one's being nasty, and that's what's very nice about it. No one's being mean spirited. Everyone's there. Everyone's there to have a good time. Sounds like a party, but without the fun. Um, but no, it is like everyone just wants the best. Everyone wants, and like for some people, they're like, you know what, we don't feel that we could do this credit. That's not fair to you or us. Best of luck. Goodbye, basically. So
Mhm.
it's nice. It's nice. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm going on a loop here about it now. I'm like, get me out of it now.
All right, we'll jump on to the next question then. So, what sparked a fire in you initially to write a book?
Oh, well, this one specifically, the novella, or just writing in general?
Well, just writing in general. What is like your
Little
fire, your passion
play,
for doing it?
comedy. Um, well, the book that I signed with Head of Zeus with, which was the 5 years ago one,
Hmm.
at that point, I was kind of like stuck in a kind of state of limbo, just finishing college, not quite knowing what I was doing with my life. So I kind of got stuck in a rut. And I think like a lot of us do, especially now. And I think for like me with writing, it was my experimental way of kind of like escaping from thinking pretty much. Didn't have to think with writing. So I just started writing, making up this story. And I just liked the way it was going. And then I gave it to somebody to read, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's been going." And then they were like, "I really liked it." I was like, "Really? Do you think I should go like professional with it?" And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, please do that." Because actually, another funny little story with the first book, which is called, I think I'm allowed to say this. Screw it, I'll say it anyway. Is The Art of Darkness, and it's a crime thriller. But the first, where it was originally the prologue for the book that was in it, but it had to be taken out. I wrote for a literature essay back at my college class, and my teacher liked it so much she read it to the class and everything. And everyone was like, "Oh yes, I quite like this, George. Like I wish this would continue." I was like, and then a little spark went off, and I think like a few months later, she started the ball rolling, and yeah. And this, I was like, honestly, like this just looks like gibberish to viewers at home, but it says A Tale of Six, and that's a question mark and a six. It's not spelled six. I know that annoys some people, but you know marketing. What was I talking about? Oh yeah,
The fire, the passion.
the fire, the passion. I I think it is honestly. It's. I think it's a way for, and I think why people write a lot of the time is because it's a way of them channeling their emotion, like channeling that fire that they don't otherwise have means to channel with other mediums through, if that makes sense. I think you kind of go on offense, defense, by which I mean like fire or water with writing, because you're either channeling something through your writing, either like you're angry or you're frustrated with something, or you're like I'm saying, like you go there for escapism, and you're just like kind of like, oh, I want to spend more time with these crazy characters, and like
Hmm.
I think that's where it comes from. I think as well it links into why people read, obviously why people watch Netflix. It's all escapism at the end of the day, and it's nice. It's nice now that things are starting to get out there. People are, well, they're reading it and they're liking it. So I'm like, oh, I'm not insane. Like this is actually okay. It's passable. It's
Yeah.
passable basically. But I don't know. I think something just went off within me at that point in the class or something. And then at some other point, I basically got bored, started experimenting, and liked where it was going because I hadn't really done that much writing before. And I liked how at the time, like not getting much acting work at the age of 18, I was able to like channel emotion through my characters, through my writing, and do a lot of sick and twisted things in my writing that I couldn't do in real life. So
No, that's awesome. That's really cool. So when you're coming up with your ideas for this book, how do you piece together your different characters and your plot? Do you do it all at once, or do you kind of like do it piece by piece and then put it together at the end?
it's weird. I mean, for example, the sixth kind of book I've got planned, I was in the car the other day and I was just like looking out the window, looking like I was in a music video with my headphones in. And I was just thinking, oh, that would be a fun character with like this other character. And then like a little mini character arc forms in my head. And then I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, what story could I put that to in the future? Because I've got like 20 stories in my head for the future. So I'm like, oh, I'll put that in that folder. Oh, I'll put it in that folder. So like every idea sort of starts off as like a snowball, and then slowly over time kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I finally at some point know what I'm doing with them. And then when I actually come to sitting down, say like with the third book that I've got to write next year at some point, I will sit and I will map out each chapter as if it's a scene, because I'm used to doing that as like an actor. And I think it's weird how as like an actor that's helped me with like getting into the mindset of certain characters. It sounds very
Yeah.
pretentious, I know, but it really,
No, it's
really
applicable.
helped. But yeah, so I'll sit there and I'll list out like characters' histories, um, like very like stupid like details about like, oh, they eat their food in this particular way, like oh, they use their fork in this way in a restaurant. And it's because like stuff like that I pick up on because my brain's on full alert all the time. I'm very like, as you can tell, I'm like, all the time. So I'm in a restaurant, I'll just watch someone like, are they doing that with their bread knife? Like that's very, very, and I'm not listening to the person's comment. I'm like, are they doing that? I'm just like, I'll file that for somebody in the future in my head. I'm like, I'll remember that. So yeah,
That's so
it's kind
cool.
of like over time, but then when I'm actually mapping and planning out, I kind of and I also for every chapter and every scene, because I see it as a scene, obviously, because that's what I've been programmed to do. I'll first write it out like a script because I like to make sure that like the dialogue flows, because there's not, I'm sure like you know this as well as any reader does, like there's nothing worse than bad dialogue in a book. Like
Yeah,
it can
honestly.
really kill it. It's like, oh,
Oh,
no,
or those
no.
like super run-on sentences that just never end. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't stand those either.
like someone just starts monologuing and it's like, all right if it's like one character, but if every character is just monologuing,
Yeah,
oh, let
no.
me give you my opinions on flowers now. And it's like, please don't. It's like, please stop.
Yeah. So by the time that this video is out, A Tale of Six will be just released, right?
It's out.
Oh wait, is it out? It's out
It's out
today, right?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, Mr. Camera. Yeah, so whenever this is out, it's out. It was or was out 16th of this month. I
16th of
almost forgot the
September.
month then of September. I'm not that scatty. Yeah. So it'll be out then. I'm I'm very excited to see what people think of it because it's.
Yeah.
Have you read a bit of it?
I have not yet because
Okay.
I saw that it was more like, I'm pretty sure it's horror slash thriller, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a plan for my month of October to do my entire TBR of like thriller and horror books. So I'm going to be putting your novella in my list of TBR, or in the list of my October TBR to
I'm
include with like
excited.
the horror thriller theme.
I'm
But I'm
excited
very
to see what
excited.
you think.
Yeah,
It's
no,
gonna
I'm very
be
excited to read it. After I saw that cover, I was like, I need to add this to my October list.
fun. It's fun. I just because it like my copy came today, and it's weird to like hold it in your hand, but then it's
Yeah,
great to sniff. I'm just like,
I just,
oh,
I just, I just said something about that in the video I put out, I think yesterday. I was like, I love to sniff books.
it's honestly like there's no greater feeling. It's just,
Right?
I'm like,
They just
oh,
smell
come
good.
alive. Come alive. Like anything can be going on this year. Like there can be more plot twists coming by the end, like for the season finale of 2020. And I can just be here sniffing my book like daisy chains. Like it's
Yeah.
just who cares when you're sniffing a book, make that a quote. When you're sniffing a book, who cares?
And there's honestly probably not many other feelings that can top like holding your creation in your hand in physical, like
Mm.
in a book. That must be like a really great feeling.
It's like it is like a baby, and I'm a bit awkward around babies because I'm always worried I'm going to drop them. So I'm like,
Same.
oh no, I'll put it there. I put it down carefully. There we go. It's very awkward. I'm like, oh, it's again, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's very very surreal because it's all kicked off at once. Everything's kicked off this year after the
Yeah.
5 years of stasis. But yeah,
So, how did you start writing?
how did I start? Oh, that's a very good question. So glad you asked me. Um, how did I start?
Like, did you start when you were younger, or was this all like more recently? You just started writing a lot because of school?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was writing short stories when I was like 7 at school, and I remember writing a short story, like, and the teacher definitely thought I needed help. I thought she definitely did. There was something about a kid walking a dog and like being drawn into it was like a forest or something, and then it like then goes into like a sewage line, and then there's some like weird monster down there, and the kid gets eaten. And like at the age of 7, that's not what you should be thinking, is it? Like you think,
No,
oh, Star Wars, and
not
like
what
it's
I would
like
be writing.
I was like, I think my parents were like, yeah. I thought, his elevator's not going to the top floor, is it? But yeah, I've been doing like short stories as like a kid and stuff, kind of like dabbling with it whenever we had to do it in class. And I was always doing like really macabre stories, ones like this basically. And then I started studying literature at college, and like started to really find that, because I hadn't done it for years by that point, that I was really enjoying it because I was channeling a lot of like emotion and frustration and just like everything into my work. And I don't know, it's nice when you're doing something, and especially like a teacher or anybody says to you like, oh, you've got quite a natural raw talent. She didn't say like I was amazing. She was like, you've got a very natural raw talent, which like I've personally always thought like you either get it or you don't. I think it's something you can develop over time, but I think to really understand storytelling is not something that everyone can do. Like not everyone can understand like what a story arc should actually entail, like how you can make it the most satisfying ending possible. I mean, yeah, could have got off on a tangent there, but I won't. I'm not going to go off. Let's not get me started on
Okay.
that.
Oh,
What was
sorry.
the question again?
The question was, how did you start writing? Which you pretty much answered, so
I,
that's good.
I pretty much answered it. I get
Yeah.
5 out of 10 for effort.
So a question that I like to ask a lot of the authors that I interview is if they have a favorite author themselves or a favorite book.
Hello there. Oh, okay. I don't know if I've got a favorite author, because I feel like authors, it's like with anything artistic, well, anything really, like people fluctuate. They kind of, even if you're Stephen King, you can write something like It all of a sudden, and then the next second you're writing dream catchers, which I know a lot of people don't like. um, it's funny, like you kind of, and I think you go through phases with different authors. I do really like Stephen King, just because I think I was drawn to. I mean, I was reading him as a kid, and like I still read him now, and he's
Well, that
weird and
explains a lot.
wonderful. I did.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, it was quite fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really. I'm someone that will kind of watch or read something and then I'll discard it. I'm quite bad. Like, I forget things quite a lot. I think it's because I'm trying to like ingest quite a lot of information a lot of the time and trying to like keep it in there in my memory banks. So a lot has to go. So a lot of books like I vaguely remember, and I remember like enjoying, and I'll have to reread at some point, but I don't remember them that well. Is that weird? Please tell me, Eric. Is that weird?
No, that's not
Is
weird.
that a form of psychosis? Like,
No, there's a lot of books that like I have read, and then like if I'll see the review later on and be like, oh, what was that book about? And then like have to
yeah,
rethink everything again. Yeah, it's not weird.
you just kind of you phase things out, don't you? It becomes a cloud. Very
Yeah.
misty. Getting flouncy with my hand gestures now, aren't I?
So, so if you had to suggest one book, what book comes to mind that you would suggest? One book that's not a cloud anymore,
It's not
or currently not a cloud.
I make weird noises. I apologize.
You can come back to this one too if you want me to ask a different question. You can like think about it in the background.
No, I'm going to be very basic. One that I already just said. I'm going to say It, because it has stuck around with me ever since I was a kid. I remember seeing Tim Curry in the original one, and I remember reading it at the same time as seeing that. Like when we'd go to like sleepovers and stuff, and we'd turn that on, and I was reading it like at the same sort of time. And I think that influenced me a lot. And I think you just because it's a big boy, like I've said already.
Yeah, isn't it
It's
over like
big.
1,000 pages or something?
Yeah, it's insane. And
Yeah.
Stephen King really gets into detail. Not always. There's one chapter in particular I'm like, no, please cut that out. But it was just weird. I don't know if you know this, like the moment I'm talking about. I was like, please stop.
I think I know. I haven't read the book, but I've heard about a specific chapter that gets into some weird stuff.
Yeah, it's that one. It is that one.
Yeah.
I was like, we didn't need this, Stephen King. We didn't need this. Just please, no. Yeah. So I would say that because it's such a journey as well, because it is like two books crammed into one, and you get to see characters grow over time. I think you do get to see just really like very good character arcs play out, which I think helps anyone. So I would say It.
Okay.
Hand or buzzer, final answer. I will not be phoning a friend today. I love it. Look, we've got a light show going on tonight. So much. Oh,
it's doing it for you.
Yeah.
So one of the other questions I like to ask a lot of authors, and this kind of stumps some of them sometimes, so don't feel bad if this stumps you, but I like to ask authors to come up with a book title that would be them. So like if you personally were a book title, what would you call it?
Misery. Jump on the Stephen King bandwagon once again.
That one's
no, I would. What was that?
I was like, that's already taken.
Oh, I was like, no, it would be Misery. That's not me. That's just my life. I'm going to be very, very cliche with this one, but again, I get mileage out of this. I'm going to say Twilight, because I get called that on Saturday nights when I'm walking back to my car, and people will just say, "Oh, Twilight," because I'm just very pale. Apparently, I look like a vampire. I've had in casting rooms, I look too vampirical, and I look too elven looking. I'm like, pick a side. I'm like, pick a side. I'd go more. Yeah, I'm like,
wow.
What am I? I'd go Twilight. But if we're gonna go like deep and philosophical, I don't know.
Oh, before you move on though, question: do you glitter in the sunlight?
I mean, how could I not?
Good answer. Good answer.
Glittering now. pass. I'm gonna lose a point for my team there. I'm sorry, team. Sorry, team.
That's all
Yeah,
good.
management team.
Yeah, some authors just like completely make up the most random stuff, and it's just like it's funny. I
What have
like
been
it.
some of the answers? I'm
One
intrigued.
of them was like, I think they said dazed and confused.
Oh,
And I was like, that's awesome.
that is a good
Um,
one.
I'm trying to think of another one. They're always like very like adjective-y. So they're
Yeah, I
like
bet. So I just want one word.
wired days and stuff like that.
Fire starter against Stephen King. Get a match
Yeah.
out.
Um, so do you have a most anticipated release of another book coming out, either in 2020 or 2021, besides your own book?
Yeah, if my answer was just my own book, thank you very much. Um, I'm going to say, for the sake of everyone out there who needs it, George R. Martin's Winds of Winter and what's the last one going to be called? A something of spring, because we need a good ending to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I personally haven't read any of the books of Game of Thrones. I've only watched the series, and as I've told you already, I haven't watched season 8 yet. But you said I don't need to, as of many other people have said I don't need to. I still want to because I need that like conclusion, but
You
I've been
don't
told
want
it's not a good one.
you really don't, but you do at the same time. You
Yeah.
need you need to like find out where the spider is to kill it. Don't know where I'm going with that, but
That
sure.
is no, that is a very true thing. That is one of the biggest things. Like I can't stand if there's a spider in the house and you lose it and you're just like freaking out because you don't know where it is and you have to kill it or else you won't feel like settled. I get that
That's when you
feeling.
become the fire starter and you get the
Yeah.
matches out and like burn it all down.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I get that feeling.
Game of Thrones reference would be fun.
And it's like it was such a well done show too. Like I didn't I didn't pick it up and watch, well, pick it up. I didn't start watching it for so
Mm.
long, and then Marcus convinced me to watch it, and ever since I've been so grateful because it's like it's such a good show.
You're just like, what is this? Like, oh,
Yeah,
there's
it's really
dragons
good.
and magic, but dragons and magic are hardly used, and it's all about politics. And I'm like, oh, it's like this is very
Yeah.
different.
Oh my god, the political intrigue in that show is
Mm.
crazy.
Mm. I like, I mean, I feel like every story's been done to death to some degree now. And I really like that George R. R. Martin has basically taken what Lord of the Rings was and made it the 2.0 version in a weird way.
Mm,
Because like a lot of people, and I love Tolkien as well, like a lot of people do, but there's critiques to every artist's work.
right.
So it always sounds pretentious when I was like artist work. Because some people say with Tolkien, his depictions of evil were very like one-dimensional and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, there's an argument to that. I guess when you're making characters like Cersei, who are my girl Cersei, she's great. She'll kill you,
Yeah.
but she's great. Um, like having, I think it's very important just with stories in general to have very interesting villains and just interesting characters. But I think that George R. R. Martin did that, and as well, like brought in the whole political game intrigue and like the webs of lies and deceit into it. So he built upon what came before, and I think that's all that anyone can really do now in a weird way. And I think if you don't think that, you're kind of lying to yourself a bit, because
Yeah.
everything kind of has been done stuff, but it's kind of like putting your own spin on certain things and like mashing bits and pieces together really. And it's interesting, like you get weird, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but you just always get interesting cocktails.
Hmm. That's also the beauty of fan fiction. We gotta love our fan
Yeah.
fiction.
Fan fiction gets a lot of credit from my end.
Okay, so with that, I will probably wrap this interview up. So I will get all the information from you for your purchase links for your new book that's out.
Yes.
And then
I
obviously
should
whenever
say, I should say this now because my agent will kill me. My agent will kill me if I don't say this. If you look on Amazon for this, again, you can't read this. Don't type in A Tale of Six or even like the question mark six. It won't come up. I don't know why. Amazon has screwed me over. Type in my name. Spelled deaf, but it's not deaf, remember? And it comes up as first link, basically.
Okay,
That's the one thing I have to add,
that
because
sounds good.
otherwise people are like, where is it?
Yeah, okay. Well, for anybody watching, that's what you do. I will also put the links in the description if you want to go directly to it. So yeah, where can everybody find you?
Where can't you find me? You can find me on Twitter at King of Swank. I reiterate, King of Swank, not wank. And on Instagram at George Morris Def. I can put the hyphen in, so it is just George Morris Def there.
Okay. Yeah, I will also link those in the description of the video as well, so people can find you everywhere. Cool.
I'm in the walls. I'm everywhere.
So yeah, with that, I just want to say thanks for being in this interview. It's actually really cool that you reached out to me because Connor had mentioned me, I think, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that was really cool. So Connor, I think Connor Stompanato, everybody who knows Connor on BookTube, I know a lot of you do know him. He's very good at getting those publishing day reviews out, and he's just a fantastic person in general. Actually referred this and like made this happen. So thanks, Connor.
He did. Thank you, Connor.
Yeah.
May 2020 be in your favor.
And so with that, we're going to wrap up the interview. Thank you so much for being on the channel.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real treat, honestly.